of Pampas Sierras, of all things. Pampas Sierras, South American map, but because the tournament started sort of around Christmas time, we wanted everything to be festive, and we introduced some snowy maps that usually aren't snowy. So we're going to have that for this tournament, and yeah, that's how that's going to work. But this map's Pampas Sierras. Let's start with Kaiserklein in the south of the map, in the color blue, playing as indeed the Germans. Looks like on this map, you have obviously just the one explorer for Germany. Some civs get extra scouting units, but on this map, you have lots of llamas, which seems really odd in this snowy setting. And he's chosen to send his explorer over to the left-hand side to gather the llamas, which always spawn on the left-hand side. And this was sort of, instead of going for perhaps treasures in the middle of the map here, 90 food, things like that. His opponent, though, Hazza54321, is playing the Spanish. So it's been like this the whole tournament. Spain has been Hazza's choice. He's been stuck with this civilization. It's the civilization he picked, and the idea of the Monociv Cup is that they play on this one specific civilization. And obviously the maps change here, picking up 120 XP. That's really nice. He's now got his first shipment. He's just spent that on free villagers, I would imagine. But yes, it looks like Hazza going for treasures. And Mitoe, why is that? Why is he not going for sheep or llamas?
Well, okay, yeah, on this map, I guess, you kind of have a choice to whether to go for the llamas on the left side of the map here, or to go for treasures and stuff like that in the middle portion and the right side of the map. And that's a little bit of a dilemma for Germany, who only has one explorer. They can only do one or the other, but Spain, on the other hand, with both the explorer and the war dog, can easily go for both at the same time. For the treasures with the explorer and llamas with the dog. Unfortunately, it looks like he missed a couple of llamas with the dog. He's heading back now. He'll go pick those up.
We have a bit of a contention. There's a 90 food treasure here. Kaiserklein sees that. He wants to get that as well. Looks like Hazza's abandoned the treasure. He doesn't want to risk his opponent grabbing that, since, of course, whoever picks it up, it's not... it doesn't matter if you killed the treasure guardians. Whoever picks up the treasure gets it here. So neither player wants to go for it. They're just having a little bit of a skirmish in the middle of the map. And I'm going to turn Mitoe up a little bit for the benefit of the viewers. So just get ready for that, whoever's in the office.
And before we get a bit too far into this game, might as well talk about the matchup. It is going to be Spain versus Germany, as we've already said. And this is kind of an interesting matchup, especially on a non-trading post map, because both civilizations' economic bonuses sort of rely on shipments. Germany, of course, having stronger shipments with those free Ulans, and Spain having cheaper shipments, but somewhat more limited in the types of shipments they could send. And so, usually as a result of that, both civilizations like to get up to the fortress age, where the shipments are the most valuable. But that's a little bit more difficult on a non-trading post map, where you don't have access to trading posts, which of course will give you more experience for those shipments. So I'm interested to see what players choose to do on this map, if they still choose to go to the fortress age, or if anyone does something a little bit more unorthodox, like some sort of aggressive colonial play or something.
Yeah, just to reiterate what Mitoe's saying, I think because this is the first game and the players will be with these civilizations for the whole series, let's go over the civilization bonuses, I think, for anyone on Escape that isn't super familiar with how this works. So Germans, as Mitoe said, is a fairly shipment-reliant civilization, and this is purely because every time they send a shipment, they will receive 2 free cavalry units called Ulan for free. And if they go to the fortress age, they get 3 Ulans, in the industrial age 4 Ulans for free with each shipment. So obviously a trading post which gives you extra XP and therefore shipments is quite valuable. But this map, there are no trading posts. So this is not a great map for Germany. But equally, this is not a great map for his opponent, who is playing Spain. They're also quite shipment dependent. Spain, they receive their shipments sooner because they are cheaper. That's their civilization bonus. Basically, they receive shipments more quickly. And usually because of that, they want to be going up to the fortress age, where they have more powerful shipments, and be sending them instead of the weaker ones in earlier ages. But yes, that is interesting, because this map, there's no trading posts, so it's going to be a poor map for both of them, but that will probably sort of even itself out, I suppose. But the game is now sort of beginning. We're up to the colonial age here. It looks like Hazza has elected to go up with the governor, which will give him 200 coin and an outpost wagon upon aging up. His opponent's gone up with, he's almost aged now, and will most likely be 400 wood on the floor. So hasn't gathered any wood. That's the wood he will need.
Yep, and we'll see what Hazza chooses to do with this outpost wagon. At the moment, it's just sitting in his base. Maybe not going to commit to placing that until he knows exactly what Kaiser's up to, heading towards the base to do some scouting.
Yeah, here he
So
is.
once he, okay, going to place it at home, so he's not going to be super aggressive with that, not going to risk losing it in the middle of the map or anything like that. Just going to keep it in base, be wary of potential cheese and stuff like that. Also, does sort of peek into the base a little bit, but doesn't actually get to see anything off of that. We'll see if he chooses to loop around with the Explorer at some point, but at the moment he's pretty blind. He doesn't really know what Kaiserklein's up to.
Okay, but on the other hand, Kaiserklein does know what Hazza's up to. He's seen the outpost here. He saw the outpost going down, sent his Explorer in to do a bit of damage, and when the outpost was being built, you see it's already taken some damage here. But Hazza has sent 700 coin. He's gathered that up now, and will be collecting all the resources he needs to go to the Fortress Age. He's already aging up, so he's gotten all the food needed from and used that 700 coin. So he's doing a fast fortress here, going to go straight to the next stage, have access to those really powerful shipments, and have some sort of timing available to him there. Kaiserklein is aware of this. He saw the 700 coin on the floor and did some damage to the outpost whilst the Explorer was there. So Kaiser, what is he up to in preparation for this? Lots of villages so far. 3 settler wagon shipment, very strong coming out, and is getting ready to deal with the Fortress Age timing, right?
Yeah, it looks like he's doing a fast fortress of his own. He doesn't have any military buildings down or anything like that. He's just gathering the resources for it. He's going to avoid sending 700 coin because this is a non-TP map. It would slow down. It would slow him down because he wouldn't get that 700 coin for quite a long time. We can see he doesn't even have his next shipment available, so he's just going to gather the resources and get up as fast as possible, and harass with his free Ulans while he does so.
Okay, so
meanwhile, looks like Hazza's going to be dropping a barracks, so pretty normal stuff. 700 wood coming from him. It'll be interesting to see if he chooses to send 5 villagers. At the moment, he's holding on to his shipment, so it looks like he's not intending to send that. And that's probably just because he doesn't have a trading post on this map, doesn't feel he can send it. We'll see what he chooses to do when he does get to the Fortress Age with that shipment, if it's going to be units, or maybe something a little bit greedier, such as the Spanish gold card or anything like that.
Yeah, we'll see what he elects to do. But currently, Hazza, he's trained 5 war dogs. Those chased away the Ulans that was in his base that were raiding him here. They're useful for that. But I think also, Mitoe, this is going to be a really aggressive fast fortress. 5 war dogs is a lot of war dogs. There's Explorer there coming onto the map. I think Kaiserklein's going to see the war dogs there. Maybe he can get the Explorer. Yeah, going to go straight for that. But Hazza up to the next stage, gone up with 8 pikemen. There is a 4 cavalry option as well. Electing for the pikemen and training colonial-aged units during transition here. Usually you'd want to wait. You'd want to get up to the next stage to train those more powerful Fortress Age units, but just wants to go up to the next stage ASAP and mass as many units as he can. He's aged up with the pikemen there. He's got war dogs. He's got these musketeers. And I think, Mitoe, the first thing he's going to do is send the 2 falconets and really make it difficult for Germany. Cannons are super difficult to deal with early on, and he really wants to abuse the fact that that is the case by having this colonial age army, which isn't ideal, but the colonial age army will be able to defend the falconets, which is something you usually can't send because you'll have no army to protect them. But 10 musketeers here, war dogs, and there they are, the cannons coming out. This is a very, very powerful timing, early timing for Hazza, and it's now on Kaiser to see if he can block this, if he can defend. He'll know it's coming, I imagine. He saw the war dogs in that forward barracks here, but 1,000 wood coming down. This doesn't look like ideal preparation, Mitoe. This isn't a military shipment. This is a big old crate shipment that will take a long time to pay off. Very efficient, but I'm worried that these cannons could be an issue.
Yeah, it's a super high value shipment, and I guess he felt like maybe he kind of had to send it because he couldn't afford to do 700 wood in transition as a result of, not having a trading post, as we said earlier.
Yeah.
But he does have a few war wagons out. War wagons do really well against all of these units here. So we will be able to just continue poking at this army with those war wagons. Might lose the market, but that's not a super big deal. It's not a super valuable building or anything like that.
Yeah.
And as long as he manages to hold this just fine, taking a couple cannon shots to the face from that war wagon, as long as he manages to hold this just fine, he'll be in a good position. Is sending 1,000 wood of his own behind this, but other than that, his economy is sitting at about 10 villagers less than Kaiser at the moment. Looks like another house is going to go down as well, in addition to that market.
Yeah.
But Kaiser shouldn't be too concerned about that, as he has plenty of wood to replace it with. He's got lots of population at the moment. He's also got another shipment on the way. Should be arriving shortly. Likely another 3 war wagons or something like that.
Yeah, looks like Hazza's just parked outside his base and is dumping with these cannons, always heading away home. I think, yeah, Hazza realizes that he might be overstaying his welcome. In Age of Empires 3, you don't want to be hanging around town centers too often since you can, yeah, here it is. He knew this was about the right time for a shipment to be popping, and as you can see from the stable, 5 war wagons as well. These are very expensive units, 150 food and 150 gold, and Hazza realizes that that first shipment from the Fortress Age and probably a batch of units would be on the way and didn't want to get caught out of position
but the
here.
Falconet's going to get picked off by the war wagons now.
Brutal, but can the pikemen find their way towards the musketeers going into hand combat as well? Of course, they have extra damage versus cavalry when they're in hand combat, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get to them, towards them, and both cannons have gone down. This could be a real issue for Hazza. I think he was really banking on those early cannons. We saw him, basically revolve his entire strategy around 2 early falconets, and it looks like Kaiser, he stayed cool. He didn't mash his army straight into it when Spain was in his base, played it cool, got the right units out, and has managed to dispatch the cannons. Hazza now is got all these. We'll see where he can go from here, but I think it could be tough. At least Hazza has sent 1,000 wood behind this, though, so he's got lots of wood, and therefore he can convert that into economy and infrastructure. So he's got a backup. He's not totally out here, but I think he probably wanted to hold on to those cannons a bit longer than he did.
Yeah, he definitely did. That's one of the biggest differentiators in this matchup. It's one of Spain's biggest advantages. Like, once those units are gone, they kind of struggle to deal a little bit with Germany's army. Spain doesn't have skirmisher shipments or anything like that. They're kind of reliant on melee shipments. And Germany, with war wagons and with their own skirmisher shipments, they can catch up really easily in the skirmisher mass, and then the war wagons will do really well against anything else that Spain can make. So now that the Falcons are down, it's definitely looking like a good situation for him. This could also be a really tricky situation for Hazza to get out of. He's sieging onto this house. There's a wall in the way to block the retreating, or to block his way out. And he's going to get caught on the corner here, it looks like.
Yeah,
now that the Ulans have arrived, he's going to just...
the skirmishers of blue, yeah, says GG.
Yeah.
That's going to be a quick and dirty game one by the looks of it there. Yeah, these pikemen and Rodeleros just staying on the front, really. They're trying to scare away the cavalry, but you can see blue, he's targeting the pikemen, and once all those pikemen have gone, there'll be nothing left to protect the skirmishers in the back here, which are really, really vulnerable to the cavalry. Very well done from Kaiserklein. Played it cool, and resulting in a very quick Age 1. I did expect that when we saw Hazza playing, that aggressively early on with the early colonial age units, but despite going up to the Fortress Age, one player was going to be eliminated quickly here, and that's going to be a quick 12-minute game.
It was definitely like a very all-in build. I like the lack of economy was definitely hurting him a lot once those Falconets went down, and I don't know. Kaiserklein just played it pretty solidly, pretty safely overall. 1,000 wood might have been a little bit risky, but even in spite of how aggressive Hazza was being, it was totally fine once he confirmed that the outpost was placed defensively. So, maybe Hazza had a little bit of a whatchamacallit, like his
perhaps the outpost.
His decisions didn't really reflect his game plan. Like that military building and that outpost, as I think you were about to point out, probably could have been in the middle of the map, would have made the early Falconets a lot more effective.
Yeah,
but,
can you imagine, right? If you build this forward outpost in the middle of the map here, or towards as close as you can get it towards your opponent's base, and then use it as a home city drop point, and these 2 falconets that he sent, that basically he sent to be, to abuse the fact that cannons are really, really hard to deal with early on, would have been in his opponent's base maybe 30 seconds sooner, and he could have got a lot more houses killed and things like that. Clearly he did some damage, but just wasn't quick enough. But that's going to be the end of game number 1. This is a best of 7 series. Kaiserklein taking a quick and dirty game number 1.
Yep, and the next map will be Hudson Bay, so there's a lot more options available to both of these civilizations on this map. So hopefully it won't be quite such a linear game. And we'll have to see how they choose to adapt to that. I mean, the first game being a non-TP map is not super indicative of what your opponent will do in the same matchup on a different map. But regardless, Hazza could probably expect that the sort of all-in type of build might not be effective regardless of the map, really, in spite of, like, what am I saying?
Well, I think maybe
In light of what happened, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, maybe Pampas was the right map for it because he knew, there's no trading posts there. Maybe just do something with Spain's early shipment curve. They obviously get shipments really quickly, and to begin with, it's nice and quick, but obviously it slows down as the game goes on, and I think maybe he just wanted to be aggressive when he could early on and make the most of Spain being powerful early on whilst the shipments are successive, so to speak. But we are now into game number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the ESOC Monociv Cup, brought to you by ESO-community.net. My name's Interjection. I'm casting from the Escape TV studio. And we're live on Escape because that's where I work. I'm in the studio, absolutely. But here we have Hazza on the left-hand side of the map in the color red, playing as Spain, obviously. That is the civilization that he will be playing for the whole series, and indeed the whole tournament, the Monociv Cup. That's how that works, absolutely. Let's take a look at his treasures so far. Looks like Hazza's found 40 wood and is headed out straight onto the middle of the map here. 90 food treasure he's come across, and we'll be pretty interested in that, I would imagine. However, German Explorer quite nearby. I think Mitoe, he has seen it. Hazza is just going to go for it anyway. And Kaiserklein, he could come here and steal this treasure. But before we get into that, let's introduce Kaiser here. He is playing in the color blue on the right-hand side of the map here as the Germans. Back towards this treasure contention. Looks like we're going to use the crack shot on a low HP bear to pick up the 90 food. Hazza putting in all the legwork there, but Kaiser going to reap the rewards. That is something in Age of Empires 3 you need to be very careful of. You need to know where your opponent's explorer is at all times, and top-level Age of Empires 3 players usually have a good idea of where their opponent's explorer is likely to be. But Hazza here is going to be denied that treasure. But not the end of the world, still plenty of HP there on his explorer.
And that's something that Kaiser is really good at doing as a player. He always likes to hunt down the enemy explorer at the beginning of the game, rather than taking treasures himself and just try to fight you for every single treasure you try to take. And it's a really effective way of playing the early game, especially since it minimizes the amount of damage your own explorer will take, which will give you advantages in those early trades with the enemy explorer. And it also, of course, if you steal a treasure, you get into your opponent's head mentally. So he's off to a good start for sure. Looks like Hazza is just going to be forfeiting the treasures in the map, going to be scouting the top side, looking for treasures up here, but probably just going to stumble across a sheep, as it seems like no treasure actually spawned on the top side for either player this time around.
No, it doesn't look like there's any treasures there. He's going to pick up a sheep for his troubles. But, where's his war dog gone? I think, Spain starts with the war dog. I'm not sure. I think Kaiserklein may have managed to pick that off, which is a pretty... Oh, no, here he is. Gupo, can we get some Frankazis in the chat? Is alive. And, well, he's not dead at all. But, yes, let's take a look at the top side of the map here for Kaiserklein and see if there's anything interesting. Just a sheep up there as well. But, yes, let's talk about the trading route this time. This is something in the map that we didn't have in the previous game here, since the previous map was a non-trading post map. This is a trading post map, and both of these civilizations are really quite good on trading post maps. That's where they want to be, and... So this is fine. Both players are going to like this. But on this particular spawn, we've got a trade route in the middle of the map going from top to bottom. Often it can spawn the other way, where it goes through the player's base from left to right. And this is interesting because Germany, they've only got that one explorer unit here. Oh, another treasure contention. Looks like Hazza, I think this time he saw that Kaiserklein was in the area, and he's just going to let the Guardians reset and go back to full HP. But yes, Kaiser staying in the area and is going to be careful there. But yes, I think both players will want to build a trading post. And as you can see, that is exactly what Hazza's doing now. He's going to slam that down. I think he wanted to pick up a Tomahawk just before doing that, but he's just going to abandon it for the time being. But Germany, he's going to pick up a Tomahawk. And I really like this decision, Mitoe, to instead delay his trading post a little bit. He's got his wood. He's not going to be able to build it on time. That 200 wood, he's going to have that, and he won't be building his... 2 forward villages. I'll finish my fort, though. Germany's quite exposed, especially on a trade map, a trade route that goes from from up to down. And because Spain have a war dog, and he was about to get a Tomahawk as well, this German explorer could be a bit exposed. But he's got himself a Tomahawk, and that means that this explorer should be safe whilst he's building a trading post. But 2 forward villages coming out from Spain.
Yeah, they've been spotted by the explorer too, so this barracks will be definitely... Are you okay?
Yeah, I have no way to mute the mic. We need to work on that.
But either way, yeah, the Tomahawk was going to be able to... It's basically going to enable the Explorer to get up this trading post safely. Those war dogs are not going to be harassing him on the TP line, which is normally one advantage that Spain would have on a map like this when the trade line is in the middle. But at least Kaiser did manage to confirm that there were forward villagers. War Dogs did manage to defend them with from that tomahawk. And there's going to be a forward tower going down here as well. And yeah, I'm not really sure exactly what Hazza's up to this time around.
Yeah, we'll
Looks
have
like
to see
700 wood is going to
Ah.
be his first shipment.
Okay, so not going to be doing a fast fortress here. Probably going to be staying colonial a bit longer. I would imagine with that 700 wood, since wood in Age of Empires 3 is a very slow gathering resource. It takes a very long time to send. So shipments of wood are very valuable. And what he'll likely do with this is slam down a couple of extra houses as he's nearly popped. He can get a market and get some techs out and also build more trading posts, which is what he's doing here. So that's an economic 700 wood shipment that will help him get invested in infrastructure. But yes, 5 musketeers have come out now of that forward barracks, and he's heading straight towards the German trade post down the bottom here that Germany's managed to get. So clearly, and War Dogs in the base, so with a few crossbowmen, 5 crossbowmen coming out. I think the War Dogs not going to get involved there. But Hazza's clearly, his game plan right now is capture this trade route early on and build up economically behind it. 5 villages as his second colonial age shipments. Going to be playing a colonial sort of economic game here for Spain.
Yeah, this is sort of interesting too because normally if you see Spain going for TPs like this, you would expect them to be going for ATP, the Advanced Trading Post card, which he does not actually even have in his deck this time around. I wonder if maybe that was just sort of to mind game Kaiser into thinking he was doing maybe something different and then going for it anyway. It looks like he's adding in some crossbows to his composition
villager goes
as well.
down. Nice pickup for Kaiserklein. Go ahead.
I was going to say, looks like he's adding some crossbows into his composition with the leftover wood as well. Just maybe as a result of having spotted the barracks and the initial batch of crossbows from Kaiser. And yeah, now that the TP is down, he will be able to add in that third trading post for himself. Consider getting maybe a stagecoach upgrade or something off of the 600 wood shipment. And then, yeah, this is a pretty good situation for Spain to be in, I think. Germany, of course, without a trading post, he did get enough value out of that TP, so he's totally fine. But not having that trading post in the long term definitely going to hurt him, especially if they choose to advance up to the Fortress Age or anything like that.
Yeah. And you can already see, look at this shipment curve already, like 2 shipments ahead. Spain get their shipments much faster than other civilizations, and also 3 trading posts as well. Actually, having said that, 700 wood now does drop down here. But Germany, they can only make, like I say, so some people may not know, Germany cannot train musketeers, so he's stuck with crossbowmen here. But that seems fine at the moment versus what Hazza has, but could be an issue in a bit. Germany doesn't want to be colonial age for very long. At some point, he's going to want to go up to the Fortress Age, right? And I think Hazza's going to make that quite difficult to do. I think that must be what Hazza has in mind. Stop Germany from going up.
Yeah, it looks like Kaiser actually dropped a second barracks just now. Just kind of an interesting decision. He's also not really macroed at all to go up to Fortress Stage just yet. Although he did switch settler wagons to gold, which means he might be thinking of sending 700 gold next. But he's got a lot of crossbows in queue, so I'm not actually sure what he's doing at the moment. And meanwhile, though, Hazza, he's got his stagecoach upgrade, so he's pretty far ahead economically as a result. Each of those TPs are not going to be reflected in the economic unit population, but they are worth roughly 3 or 4 villagers each, depending on what resource he puts them on, which is definitely pretty good for him. Dropping a stable now as he's aging up to the next age. He is going up with the scout, which is the 4 cavalry. So, yeah, Kaiser playing very, very safe at the moment. But he's on a little bit of a clock as a result of this age up. If he doesn't push soon and make use of these units, he might be in trouble to something like 2 falconets or something like that.
Yeah.
And the other alternative would be to start aging soon. But he's running sort of a little bit low on hunts in his base, and if he really commits to
maybe, I think Kaiser just doesn't know what's going on, right? His explorer's on the other side of the map. The War Dogs chased him down. Kaiser's playing safe. Okay, 700 coin going out.
He's got Dops in queue.
Okay, maybe that's for the Doppelsodners, I wonder here. But yeah, Kaiserklein that has a window. Whilst Hazza is aging up to the Fortress Age, he's investing quite a lot of resources in aging up. And that means if Kaiser wants to punish his opponent, he has to push out now. But I think Kaiser, a little bit blind, isn't really sure what's going on since his explorer's down, but probably suspects that he needs to be pushing since he hasn't seen anything from Hazza. Hazza hasn't shown his army, so he would expect his opponent to be aging because of that, because Hazza isn't pushing. And I think Kaiser, yeah, he recognizes something's up and wants to get out in onto the map here, waiting for those Doppelsoldners to train, which are really powerful area damage infantry. And yeah, now pushing out, and I think this could be quite good for Kaiser. If he can take out that outpost before his opponent gets up to the next stage, then there'll be no forward drop point, and it looks like the Doppelsoldners, with their incredibly high siege, are going to allow that. Hussars popping out of the barracks here. They're going to kill that stray crossbowman there, but are going to find it tough to... Yeah, they're not going to want to go in.
Yeah,
okay,
it looks like he's just going to
down.
back off for now. Doesn't want to commit to fighting or anything before he's aged up. But this is definitely going to be a valuable push for Kaiser. The 4 Hussars are from the Spanish town center, and then the 2 Falconet shipment most likely on the way. But it's not going to be here in time to save these military buildings and maybe potentially even these trading posts.
Yeah, this is really nice from Kaiser. He sees what's up. He pushes out. He's able to take down this forward barracks, these forward buildings, and he's going to be able to capture this route. But I think here, the 4 Hussars that Hazza aged up with are now meeting up with the units. Is he about to get involved? I don't think there's any techs being researched here. No musket upgrades. Perhaps he's just waiting for that first shipment, and then he can engage Kaiserklein and protect his route. We'll see what his first shipment is. It should be arriving any second now. Expecting 2 Falconets.
Yeah, and this is a little bit interesting because Kaiser decided to make a second batch of Doppelsoldners despite how well the push was going. So his age up is going to be a little bit delayed. Looks like he switched villagers off of gold. Yeah, it's going to be the 600 gold shipment that will enable him to age up. So he has to be a little bit careful with his army here while he ages up. But he does have the exiled prince politician, something the Spanish doesn't have access to, so he will be able to age up quite a bit more quickly than Hazza did. Shouldn't be in too much danger.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, the 2 Falconets are on the way towards the enemy base, and they will be probably pretty tricky to deal with this full infantry army.
Yeah, especially now that he's aging or is saving to age. Kaiserklein about to get that age in. But I like these Doppelsoldners. Very high siege on that unit, and are going to take out that bottom trading post before heading home. He expects the Spanish push now, since upgrades are now in. Musketeers got the veterancy upgrade there, so they're going to be 20% stronger, and the 2 cannons are halfway across the map. He expects that push, that power spike from Spain when they hit up to the fortress age, that it's coming, and has done a bit of damage, managed to push out and kill those 2 barracks, but now understands that he needs to be home to defend, needs to be near his town center for when the Spanish push arrives. Looks like it is here, and that's a mostly crossbow army. The Doppelsoldners aren't quite home yet. Those crossbows really exposed if the Hussars were to find them.
Yeah, and Hazza's basically just going to be able to return some of the damage that he took on that forward base a couple minutes ago. So he'll be able to clean up these houses, maybe clean up the market, maybe even get some damage on this town center or force some idle time, which he is doing already. There's a few villagers in the town center at the moment. And behind this, he's shipping 1,000 wood so he can start replacing those trading posts that he lost, replace those military buildings a little bit more easily. And he's actually looking to be in a really good situation, I think. 3 houses and a market go down. Has to be careful that he doesn't keep the Falconets too far away from his main army and get caught by some units popping out of the town center or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about an Ulan shipment or something.
But Kaiser's definitely going to be hurting for population for a while. He's at 120 out of 110 population, short on wood to get additional houses, and no market to trade for their resources either. So this is still going to be a tricky push to hold. He's not going to have any war wagons or anything like that, aside from maybe 3 from a shipment, which
plus.
are popping out right into the army. They're going to get onto the Falconet.
Yeah, it looks like he's
and
trying
it looks
to...
like it is going to go down, and then Doppelsoldner is coming in to force the army to retreat. So the Falconets are just going to be sacked at this point, just going to let those die. They've done the damage they need to do. And at this point, he'll just be happy to back off, retain map control, retain security over this trading route, and yeah, he'll be sitting with a minor economic advantage. 5 Hussar shipment coming in next as well. And these veteran or colonial crossbows not going to be doing super well against the skirms and the veteran musketeers.
Yeah, looks like the Hussars trying to get in there as well, but yeah, going to avoid the war wagon fire. I think Hazza, yeah, just a bit of a skirmish in the middle of the map. Neither player wanting to commit here, but Hazza will push the crossbowmen all the way home. And See if he can get some cheeky kills. The skirmishers have longer range, so he can kite with them on the way back. But yeah, I think Hazza pretty pleased with this position. He lost the falconets, but that was to be expected. Germany put a lot of effort into doing that, managed to get rid of the cannons. But now Hazza, look at this, got pretty good map control and resources. His opponent's harvesting up in the top of the map here, which is going to be a little bit, they're going to run out at some point. But Hazza, he's quite pleased. He's got all these other natural resources going for him and has control of this trading route that has an upgrade on it, so it's going to have resources flowing in. Fairly even economic unit population. Germany slightly ahead, but remember these trading posts are not counted in this statistic up here. So actually we expect the red player Spain is actually further ahead at this time.
Yeah, and this is definitely a tricky situation for Kaiser, because if you look at his gold mine on the top side of the map, it's down to 800 gold, and his next closest gold mine is pretty much smack dab in the middle of the map, or at the very bottom side there, pretty far away from where his settlers are, and pretty exposed to Hazza's army at the moment. So he has to really find some way to make something happen soon and regain control over these resources in the middle, and maybe think about contesting the steepy line, because otherwise he's just going to start falling behind. Looks like the 5 Lancer shipment has come in for Hazza as well, moving across the map. And looks like he is going to be trying to take a fight. These Uhlans are not very strong. They're only colonial age at the moment, and there's not very many of them. They're just going to be snaring the army for the ranged infantry and the war wagons to get onto it. And the Doppelsoldner is going to be coming around from the top, but not going to be getting into a super favorable position. And yeah, for the moment, actually, Kaiser actually has the skirmisher advantage, I think. Very slightly, but definitely going to be helping him out here. Has to be careful though with that cavalry mass in front to tank.
Yeah, this looks pretty good for Spain. Lots of cavalry, but remember those Doppelsoldners absolutely tear through cavalry. So the Cav just don't really want to commit. They don't want to get stuck in because those Doppelsoldners are going to tear them a few new ones, so to speak. I think Hazza, they're pretty pleased with the damage he's done. Going to get back here. Remember, he has lots of map control. It's on Kaiser to push out, and Hazza probably knows that Kaiser's going to struggle to do that, especially with Doppelsoldners that could be picked off quite easily if they leave. Basically, they want to stay back and defend.
And it looks like he's managed to get control over this gold mine and hunt for the moment, which will sort of help him continue training units to fight this. Hazza's not going to be letting it go easily, though. He's got some goons coming in now, not going to be super useful against this composition, but they'll be doing damage nonetheless. Picking off some Dops with the skirmishers.
Yeah,
not going to be getting onto the cavalry, so there's going to be some valuable picks for him. And Kaiserklein is forced to fight here. He can't retreat. Those villagers might be forced to join the fight as well. If he loses this position, he's pretty much out of the game. Without these resources, he's not going to be able to train any additional units. Oh, 9 Uhlans coming in now.
Oh, baby, that's really good. There's not actually that much anti-cavalry here for the Spanish player, just a few dragoons. Oh, wow, these Uhlans going to be really, really strong, though they do have fairly low HP, so if he can pick them off one at a time, it should be okay. But managing to push forward here really nice. Can the Uhlans find position? No, they're just bleeding out. They're dying here. This is no good. 5 war dogs being trained from the Explorer as well, and I don't think that's enough Uhlans to really... Yeah, the war dogs being used as sort of proxy anti-cavalry. A few hussars in here. They'll be useful to sort of body block the skirmishers as well. And it looks like Kaiser is not pleased with the conditions here. GG out. And Hazza going to pick up game number 2. The score is now 1-1.
Yeah, it turns out the Falconet push was enough to get to compensate for the early push. I think Kaiser sort of overinvested into Doppelsoldners with that first push, and as a result, he had to sort of sit there and take a lot of additional damage from those Falconets, and then sort of had to suffer the fact that Hazza had time to rebuild the TPs and everything and regain control of the map. And yeah, just, I don't know, just overcommitting a little bit to that type of strategy. That being said, though, it seems like the game was a little bit laggy.
What's the verdict, Mitoe? Do you want a screen share?
Yeah, maybe. What are we going to do, though? Because I'm also streaming to ESOC TV.
I can stream to ESOC from this PC. It's all set up, remember?
We could also just host you guys. Is also a possibility.
You can, but that feels a bit anticlimactic.
Shouldn't be anticlimactic, but... I don't know. As long as you think the setup can handle it, should be fine.
I think it can handle it, but host works as well. It's really up to you guys. But let's take a look at the post game. and have a look at the timeline graph. So all resources gathered fairly even out the course of the game there. Hazza sort of picking up, does take a lead towards the end, to be expected. He had those trading posts all secured with the upgrade. Let's take a look at the military unit count. You can see that sort of big fight in Hazza's base, where Germany tries to take out the Falconets, manages to succeed in doing it, but as you can see, sort of over, and there's the final fight, where Germany loses, and that is the end of the game there. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is game number 2 we've just finished here for the MonoCiv Cup, brought to you by ESO-community.net. Obviously, my name's Interjection, casting alongside Mitoe from the Escape TV studio. Well, I'm here, but Mitoe is in Calgary, in Canada.
I am indeed in Canada, not in Manchester.
No, not really.
Okay, so we'll take a couple minutes here to get this stuff set up. So I'll be closing the stream on ESOC TV, and I don't know. I guess you can try streaming to ESOC TV at the same time.
Okay, I'll do that. We're now going to throw the camera over to just me, just the casting booth. There'll be no screen, and I'll tinker with the settings, and we can stream to ESOC TV as well as Escape, and then we'll get back into game number 3 in the grand finals of this MonoCiv Cup.
All right, so I'm going to end the stream on my end now. We'll be back in a couple minutes on ESOC TV as Interjection gets stuff set up, so stay tuned. All right, so now we just got to wait for delay.
Right, I'll start screen sharing with the Mitoe, with my buddy. Okay, can you see it?
Let me take a look. Yep, I can see everything just fine. Looks good.
Yeah, and the PC can handle this. It's absolutely fine, don't worry. Cool.
All right, sounds good.
All right, we'll now switch back to the lobby screen, where I think you can see a swanky... if you're watching on ESOC, then... So basically, let me explain the setup for anybody listening. And Mitoe, you might need to keep an eye on the ESOC chat in case the levels are not correct. But we have done all of the audio. We did a sound check earlier, so everything should be fine. We planned for this contingency, but didn't think we'd actually need to use it. But turns out that we do. But yes, on the Escape stream, we're using the regular setup in the office. Everyone's controlling the screen, and you can see things that are happening, and we can do all these swanky overlays. But for the ESOC stream, I'm just streaming from another PC because we can't actually do dual stream yet. We haven't figured... Well, I imagine we can set that up, but it's not something we were anticipating to be needing to do at some point. So this is the solution for now. I'm just streaming from the PC that I am casting at, but it can handle that. That's absolutely fine. And Mitoe is on Discord screen share. He will be able to see the stream and will commentate from there. Thankfully, Mitoe's a very good player and won't need a UI. He can just use mine. It'll be brilliant. All right, then. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be game number 3 in a best-of-7 series between Kaiserklein and Hazza54321. The next map will indeed be Fertile Crescent. This is the MonoCiv Cup, brought to you by ESO-community.net. These players are now in the grand finals. They've taken the civilization that they are playing all the way through. Oh god, another winter map. So Fertile Crescent is based in India, and it's snowing. And for anyone that's tuned in since the beginning of the stream, during the festive period over Christmas, we thought it would be a good idea to festivize the maps and make them all snowy. And that's been extended out and will be removed after the MonoCiv Cup. But it does mean we're going to enjoy the snowy maps and the festivities for one more stream. But I think generally speaking... we won't be doing this again because snow is actually not the best sort of terrain to be looking at as a player or a caster. But yes, Fertile Crescent doesn't usually look like this, but today it does. It's going to be a snowy map, and that is the way things are going to be. But spawning on the bottom of the map in the color red, we do indeed have our British guy, Hazza54321. Just to clarify, he is British. He is playing as the Spanish, though. Not to confuse anyone there. Spain is his choice, his civilization of choice. And by the looks of it, okay, just going to be building a house, going to ignore that wood crate here. He's decided, actually, I don't need this 100 wood. All I want is 100 wood, build a house with it, and the other 100 wood, that's not going to help me age up to the next age any sooner. So he'll go back for that later. But I'm surprised because usually you expect Spain to, if they have a 200 wood start, go for an early trading post, which is precisely what Kaiserklein's doing. Here he is, Kaiserklein, playing as Germany in the north of the map in the color blue, and has elected to go for a trading post of his own. Well, Mitoe's not here anymore, and we're all on the same continent, so it should be... okay, Hazza thinks it's fine. Maybe it will work itself out. But yeah, Germany going for a trading post, which is he's really going to be quite pleased with that, and has just come across 90 wood as well. I think he wishes he'd found that sooner, since, of course, needs to build a house, and all of these villagers are chopping the 100 wood he needs for a house. They're going to delay his age up because of that. Hazza actually going to be up much more quickly because he's not bothered to go with a trading post. But what do you think? Normally, I'd expect Spain to do what Germany's doing.
Yeah, well, when you build a trading post to Spain early in the game, you have to chop that extra 100 wood, and sometimes that means you have to go for a 16 villager age up where you would normally prefer a 15 villager age up, and going for a 16 villager age up means that you're going to get your 700 gold shipment a little bit slower if you're going for an FF, and getting your 700 gold shipment slower, of course, means you're going to be aging up to the fortress age more slowly. So this basically indicates that that could be part of the thought process here. Also, if he's saving that wood, I don't know if he has advanced trading post in his deck, but you can check for that. If he intends to send advanced trading post as his second shipment in the game in a couple minutes here, that means that that 100 wood will be almost enough for a full trading post on its own. Won't have to chop additional wood for that, and it'll just make everything a little bit more smooth with that ATP shipment.
Yeah, that's
so that could be part of the plan here, is this map does have quite a few TPs available for him.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. As advanced trading post, or ATP, what it does, it decreases the cost of trading posts by 40% and gives them a ranged attack that they wouldn't normally have. Going to crackshot that lion here. Looks like that war dog going to, I think, go down to the lion. That's no good. He's going to lose Frogger. Oh, feels bad, man's in the chat. Rip doggy. Franka Z. Usually you want to tank with the Explorer since he has a lot of HP and the War Dog does not. So that's the case. But going to be picking himself up 100 food either way. Wow, that's... Oh, it's not going to help him age up all that much quicker since he had nearly 800 food anyway. But certainly a nice treasure to be picking up. Let's see what his next shipment is. He sent 3 villagers, and I would... Okay, he's got a shipment available now, and we'll see if he decides to send advanced trading post and train it. And I think you're right. That's probably why he's left the 100 wood, because you don't want to be building a full... Oh, okay, he is going to be going for the trading post. Actually, then, I don't think he's going to send advanced trading post at all, Mitoe. He's just going to... he just wanted to get up to the colonial age really quickly, and therefore the fortress age really quickly, and forwent the trading post in order to do that. It means he's going to be a little bit behind on his experience curve compared to if he had gone with the trading post like Germany, but he thinks the speed will be worth it. So I think from Hazza, we can expect something very aggressive. He wants to be quick and fast and have a really powerful early timing that Germany might find difficult to hold, but is going to have sort of less follow-up as a result of that.
Yeah, well, it makes a little bit of sense, too. Kaiser maybe not seeing the trading post, maybe sort of anticipated that there was some sort of ATP shenanigans going on. As you can see, he's keeping his Explorer sort of around that TP to sort of see if that's going on.
So Kaiser's still expecting ATP, you're saying? He might think it's still going to happen and is preparing for it, but actually Hazza is not going to.
In his mind, it's still very much a possibility, for sure. And one thing it also did is it enabled Hazza to pick up a couple of the larger treasures on this map while Kaiserklein went for that trading post early on. So it's just kind of a trade-off that he gets. Maybe a little bit of mind games on top of that as well. It also just sort of kept his options open if he changed his mind later. Maybe if he got a couple of really good wood treasures, could have easily invested in ATP without really without sacrificing anything, really. And one thing as Spain as well, even though your shipments are quite a bit cheaper and you do benefit pretty heavily from that TP, you don't get those shipments. You don't get to benefit from that TP until significantly later in the game than other civilizations, because you already have a lot more shipments. So yeah, just prioritizing the fortress age timing will hopefully mean that he's in a better situation overall if Kaiser were to do anything a little bit cheesy. But just looking at the game so far, it doesn't look like Kaiser has anything cheesy in mind. Just going to be scouting the base, spotting that 700 gold.
Yes, apparently it's quite... the volume's low on the ESOC stream. I'm not sure how to fix that because I don't know how I would do it, to be honest. It's already at max. I don't think I can turn it up, so that's how that's going to work, I think. Sorry.
Well, maybe after this game, we'll just switch to hosting you guys on Escape, and I think that'll be totally fine.
Okay, maybe after this game I can fix it as well. But let's take a look at what's going on. So looks like I don't know if you said this, but Hazza's gone for a mid-map trading outpost here. This is going to be a forward spawn point for his Fortress Age shipments. Hazza really wanted to get up to the Fortress Age as fast as he could, where obviously Spain, all of their shipments are cheaper, and wants to be spending those cheaper shipments on these more powerful Fortress Age shipments here, and is going to use that forward spawn point as a jumping off point, so the falconets or whatever he chooses to ship can basically skip the walk. They can spawn already here closer to his opponent and get into doing damage more quickly, which is what Hazza wants since he aged up so much more quickly for when that trading post, as we keep saying. Market going to be denied by the 2 Ulans there, but another one going up in the front. Did he lose it? I think he lost an Ulan. Yeah, the town center.
Yeah, I lost one to the town center fire. Okay, so we went for a stable instead of a barracks off of that 700 wood. It's a little bit... well, it's an alternative. And I'm kind of interested to see what he does with that, because you can't be super aggressive with that all the time. Not against war wagons or anything like that, for sure. And it also means that he could potentially fall behind in the skirmisher count a little bit more easily.
Okay.
And stuff like that.
I was actually wrong. It looks like he's gone for a market, and he's gotten hunting dogs, getting placer mines now, so getting a couple of early market upgrades, but was also sent 5 villages, which isn't consistent with what I said he was doing. But perhaps he still values that extra time, to get to the Fortress Age sooner. He's still going to have that shipment sooner, but is going to have a little bit less XP. But either way, let's see what's happening now. It looks like he's aged up with 4 Hussars and has managed to ship 5, or train 5, pardon me, from his stable here. Going to pick up that Explorer just before. Okay, so Hussars on the map. Perhaps he's waiting for Dragoons to come out of the stable as well, and then we'll march into his opponent's base and see if he can get some raiding done. But Kaiserklein now up to the Fortress Age as well, and his first shipment has arrived. Going to be going with 3 war wagons, anti-cavalry, and has gotten a few Ulans as well from his stable.
Yeah, no barracks for Kaiser either, eh? Doesn't have the 700 wood shipment, so it was a little bit easier, or a little bit harder for him to mix that in. Just going to be going for the heavy war wagon composition, which will be really good against this stable from Hazza and a potential 2 falconet shipment. However, we know that Hazza is not going for 2 falconets. I believe that is the Spanish gold shipment that he sent. Is that right?
It is, yeah.
So that will be a little bit greedier from him. Might actually suffer a little bit to this war wagon push as a result. And Kaiser should be aware that there's not likely a barracks or any infantry here, so he will be just fine sieging down this outpost.
Yeah, and there's no such thing as skirmisher shipments for Spain either, so the war wagons don't need to feel threatened either. Villagers evacuating from the forward outpost. What's going on then? Why is he's going to lose this outpost in the stable?
I might not lose the stable. I don't know if Kaiserklein will stick around too long for that, especially if another batch of Dragoons pops out. He should be able to hold it just fine, but the outpost for sure is going to go down. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the game plan is at the moment. He might have been hoping to sort of do some damage early with an extra 4 Hussars on top of the Age of Hussars before Kaiserklein reached the Fortress Age, but Kaiser went for a very quick fast fortress build with that 700 gold shipment second, so unfortunately that option was sort of denied to Hazza. It looks like he's actually just going to allow that stable to go down, and he's just going to look to apply some counter pressure of his own. Maybe with these cavalry, he's just going to be running past the army, going to be moving all the way down to the enemy base, trying to look for villagers, maybe buy some time for him to reestablish military buildings elsewhere on the map. But the war wagon's going to get caught. That is going to be pretty good for him. They do have a lot of melee resistance, though, so Hussar's not going to be super effective against them. He's going to pick off 2. Not a bad trade for him at all.
And then wants to get out of there. He expects that army that was near his trading post, stable, would approach the allied war wagons, and he didn't want to get caught out of position there, because that's quite a big German army. Now coming around this side, this could be awkward for Hazza. if he gets caught by the Uhlans. If the Uhlans get a snare on him, that means that he won't be able to escape very easily. There's a dead end. Oh no, he can escape down on these shallows, and I think he'll be absolutely fine. Doesn't look like the Uhlans are going to be able to snare him, and Hazza should be able to escape away safely, and his army will be absolutely fine. Hazza looks like playing very economically, so despite what I said at the start of the game, sent 5 villagers whilst he was in transition to the Fortress Age. 5 villagers is a colonial age shipment. Get that economy going. Get those settlers on the board ASAP, followed by Spanish gold, which is a really slow shipment. What this does is it sends 400 gold immediately. So, 400 gold is nothing compared to the other Fortress Age shipments. You'd expect, 1,000 food, 1,000 wood. 400 gold is not really very good. But also what it does is every other shipment for the rest of the game will also deliver 400 gold. So Spanish gold, that shipment is like a long-term investment. So here he's got 1,000 food and 400 gold because of that Spanish gold. And he sent 1,000 wood, 1,000 food, really gearing up these economic shipments that are going to allow him to get all of the upgrades. He's got steel traps there and placer mines, and he's going to be able to train lots of units from the gold, from these extra crates that he wouldn't usually have, and is going for something a bit later on in the game. At the moment, he's sort of fairly weak, and that's reflected in his score. His opponent's obviously much higher, so Spain quite vulnerable at the moment. But Spain not being pressured. I'd expect Kaiserklein to, be up in Spain's face, really doing damage, taking advantage of the fact that Spain's being a bit slow and playing a slow game, and trying to do some economic damage because of that. But actually, Hazza getting away with this, and I think Hazza's going to feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he paid for it a little bit, but in general, it looks like it is going to be paying off for him in the long term. He's also dropped down 2 barracks after losing that stable. He's going to be shifting up his composition quite a bit. Dealing with the skirmisher mass from Germany will still be difficult, even if Germany don't have 2 Raxes themselves, because they, of course, have skirmisher shipments, could potentially send Jaegers or something like that at some point. That's something that Kaiser really likes to abuse with Germany, so we'll see what they choose to do, but for the moment, looks like Kaiser's just content to sit on that gold mine in the middle of the map, retain control of that as much as possible. Hazza, on the other hand, sending the 2 Falconets shipment. That's going to be sort of his answer to the skirmisher mass a little bit here. But with lots of war wagons, I'm not sure exactly how effective they'll be. War wagons, of course, having additional range over other dragoons, can deal with falconets a little bit more effectively than most range cavalry. But these houses in the middle that Kaiser chose to build could be a little bit exposed to them.
Yeah, villagers now escaping. Gives him a lot of line of sight here. I don't know how effective that will be. Looks like with the cannons, he's just going to destroy these 3 houses, like free target in the middle of the map. Yeah, that's true.
That was a little bit of a questionable decision to build those houses there.
You never know. Maybe the cannons will soak the damage. If the cannons are left idle, the target they'll take is the closest thing to them, which often is, would be a building here. You got to be really careful that you're targeting your opponent's units. I doubt that was the function of their houses, but could be something that happens here. Looks like Dragoons staying out on the front really want to keep those war wagons away from the cannons, so the skirmishers have to be in front of them to stop the cannons being sniped by, a volley from the war wagons there. Cannons, of course, going to clean up these houses. Okay, Germany coming back. Looks like Germany's going to prepare to go in. 13 Jaegers has been shipped. This is a mercenary shipment. It's going to be
war wagons going straight onto the falconets.
Yep. Skirmishers on the front there to try and punish those war wagons as much as possible for that. The German cavalry are going to find their way onto the skirmishers here. These are going to be doing really, really well. They're going to slice absolutely through these skirmishers. Looks like the cannons are now done, and that's going to be tough for Hazza. He's got nothing really to deal with the skirmisher mass, and the Jaegers at that, which are really powerful mercenaries. And he's got no cavalry, no cannons, and the Red Army is going to struggle big time versus what Germany has here.
Yeah, there's a 12 pike shipment coming in now to deal with these Uhlans, but by the time they get here, the Uhlan count's already going to be dwindling, and they're going to be forced to fight Jaegers, and pikes versus Jaegers is not the greatest unit counter in the game, for sure. So he's going to be forced off of this hunt here, and potentially forced off of resources altogether if Kaiser finds out where the rest of the vills are gathering, and that could spell disaster for Hazza in this game so far. I mean, he's already forced onto berries and stuff like that. So yeah, this is looking like it could actually be going over to Kaiser.
Yeah, this looks tough for Hazza, but he has actually pulled up the score. Like, it's not as far apart as I would have expected it to be, but that's probably because the skirmishers, the Jaegers, so to speak, actually represent more power than they do. They should be worth more in terms of score than they actually are. Going to clean up some more houses, so going to get pay Hazza back a bit for the houses he destroyed earlier. But at the moment, Germany decisively controlling the middle of the map here, and Hazza doesn't really have... Does he have any hunt at all? He's just he's gathering from berries, which are quite slow. Doesn't really want to be doing that, and and his name's Hazza, brilliant, isn't going to be able to gather food very easily. Going to put down an outpost over here by this mine next to these berries. The outpost can garrison up to 20 villagers, so this is more of a safety net that he can garrison in a very strong building should he need to. The berries are nearby, there's a mine nearby, and this hunt over here could be sort of herded, pushed towards this outpost, and could have used that. So he's just trying to get out on the map where he can. We've got a few lancers though, 4 lancers combined with some lancers that he's trained. Lancers are a really strong unit versus the infantry here, so they should be able to help, but I worry that there's... oh, look at the pikeman on top of the war wags. This is absolutely exactly what he needs. The trouble is, though, the Uhlans now coming around the other side here, and Uhlans have very high base attack and are going to be really effective against the lancers here. Those pikemen need to make their way over to the Uhlans to push them away. Look, yeah, the Uhlans have taken care of all the lancers, and now there's no more cavalry, and that means Hazza now again has no way of dealing with those skirmishes and is going to have to get out of here.
Yeah, it was a good attempt, but unfortunately just not quite enough units to make it work.
Oh, dear.
And now the Uhlans going to be swinging around to this left side. They have spotted the outpost, going to be probably sieging that down and cleaning up these villagers. And I think that's going to be the end of the game probably for Hazza, unless he has some other tricks up his sleeve.
Yes, hopefully some tricks. But this is a big German army, and he's lost 2 attempts to get rid of it now. It might be hard to bounce back a 3rd time with an army that's respectable enough to deal with it. Is training more lancers. That is probably the correct unit to be dealing with a large skirmisher mass. But Uhlans are just such good... when it comes to cavalry versus cavalry, Uhlans absolutely shred lancers. Okay, looks like we've got 5 hussars going to pop out this forward outpost here. What are they doing? I don't know where they're going.
I don't think that was where he wanted them to pop out.
No.
You see on the other side of the map, he's trying to apply counter pressure with his army to force, get trade villagers for villagers. Don't think he meant for those hussars to pop out at the outpost there. He definitely would have preferred for them to come out of the town center and join up with his army on the right side. But he is going to be cleaning up a couple of settler wagons. Unfortunately, not as many vills as he would have liked for how many vills he's going to be losing on the other side. So yeah, definitely still a dire situation for him. But still playing it out. Going to be cleaning up potentially another couple buildings on the right side here before the German army can really catch up. And that potentially might buy him a little bit more time. But no, looks like he is going to be backing away from those. Doesn't want to risk getting caught out by these Uhlans.
Here come the Uhlans straight towards Hazza's forward hunt here that he's gathering from. This is really, really awkward, but thankfully Spanish army is on the way back, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough to deflect this raid here. Uhlans really high base damage, very low HP, so they're very effective at raiding. Are going to take some damage from the Dragoons here, which are good anti-cavalry, and the Pikes, but now that skirmisher mass has caught up with the rest of the units, Spain can no longer engage, and he lost all his villagers for it. Look at that recalculated economic unit population. Yeah, GG. Hazza realizes he lost too many villagers, and now 41 economic unit population to 33. Can't really go on because of that. He's got too little economy, and his army is behind as well. That is going to be it for game number 3. Kaiserklein pulling ahead in the series. The score is now 2-1. Looks like Kaiser complaining about the lag, but I'm not really sure what else we can do. Everyone here is from Britain or France, so pretty close. Mitoe we've eliminated from the situation, but yeah, this is why we need more lands, Mitoe. This is why we need more lands.
Yeah, for sure.
I reckon. Do you think we would invite Kaiserklein to the LAN and he would still complain about lag?
It's possible for sure. But yeah, do you want to try? We should maybe try hosting you guys, because as well, the Discord stream is actually almost unwatchable for me. It's like 144p. I can't even see what's going on the minimap half the time.
Okay, maybe yeah.
So.
This is not what I wanted. I wanted to cast. You know, I'm at Escape. When I'm live, I need to be live on the Escape channel, and I want to cast ESOC events, but I don't want to take ESOC events away from ESOC. I want them to be able to stream on both. I guess it feels bad. I feel bad about this, but yeah, I guess.
No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Don't feel bad about it. It's just unlucky that I'm in another continent.
Yeah, well, we'll have to get you over here for the LAN for sure. For sure. But yes, let's. So what are we going to do? Am I going to end the ESOC stream and then we'll continue as usual?
Yeah, okay, so we'll end the stream on ESOC TV. I'll drop a link to Escape's Twitch channel as well, and then we'll host Escape AoE on the ESOC channel after the stream goes down.
So, and also we'll drop a link to the ESOC Twitch channel in the Escape TV. If you want to keep up to date with Age of Empires 3 streams, ESOC is absolutely the place to go. So please head on over to there. Give them a follow, even if you're not, intending to watch it super often. Give it a follow, just so when you're looking at your followers, if you want to see what channels are live, maybe one day we'll be hosting a big grand finals, and maybe that might tempt your interest. I don't know. Follow the ESOC stream is what I'm saying. But yes, for anyone watching on the ESOC stream currently, we're now going to go over to the Escape stream where I'm streaming from and continue this grand finals over there. I feel pretty bad about that, but hopefully Mitoe will be able to see on Discord more easily, since I'm currently streaming and streaming both on Discord and on onto Twitch. So if I end the Twitch stream, that should improve for Mitoe. So let's do that. We'll see you on the other side. Links now.
All right, so we'll just wait a minute or two for the delay on the other channel to catch up. And what is the next map going to be? It looks like it's going to be Mendocino. So another trading post map. A little bit more trading posts in the middle of the map than previous maps, so could potentially be seeing some advanced trading post shenanigans from Spain finally.
Roboboro has gifted a tier 1 sub to Eddie Holland about an hour ago. I'm supposed to be paying attention to that. But yeah, cheers, Robo. Well done, Edie. You got the sub. Absolutely. And you can now use the escape. No, it's called AoE Will. Can we get some AoE Wills in the chat? I've got my own emote, Mitoe.
Oh yeah, I've seen that emote. It's pretty funny.
It is pretty funny.
I will now spam one myself.
All right, we're now going to get on into game number 4 in this best of 7 series. The score is currently 2-1 to Kaiserklein. He's just pulled ahead in the series. Let's see if Hazza can even it back up. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is the grand finals of the Mono Civ Cup, a best of 7 series between Kaiserklein and Hazza54321. I believe Kaiser currently ranked number 1 on the ESOC ELO ladder, and Hazza sort of 5th or 6th. So both players here very, very good, and both very deserving to be in this grand finals. It's a pretty interesting tournament because usually you'd expect to see lots of different civilizations in a tournament. We usually impose rules that ensure diversity, but this tournament does the opposite. It's actually both players take one civilization to the tournament. Hazza here spawning in the south of the map in the color red, as obviously the Spanish. Looks like it was a 100 wood start. And with that is probably just going to be building a house and not a trading post. But Spain is his civilization, and he's been playing this the whole tournament. So that's how that works. You have to pick a civ that you're comfortable with, that you're good with, but also can basically is a well-rounded civ that can deal with most matchups. And Spain is what Hazza has landed on. We've been really impressed, actually, with the diversity of civilization choices in this on ESOC Patch currently, but Spain, yes, going to be picking up 135 XP and before his first shipment. So what this will do, you see this bar, it will jump right up to the top, and he's going to be able to have that first shipment available really, really early. And as we all know, hasn't selected his deck yet, but will any second now, and I imagine be 3 villagers, which he still hasn't selected. But yes, he has selected it now. Oh wait, why hasn't it been? I think I have to.
You got to go to player summary and then load his deck there, and then you'll be able to see it there normally.
Yeah, there it is. I imagine he had selected his deck a bit sooner, but me being a noob.
Yeah, that's a really nice pickup for him too, because it'll accelerate the advanced trading post shipment if he chooses to go for that. One thing, if you go for ATP, usually is you'll end up with a situation where you end up in a situation where you're actually waiting on like 240 wood, standing next to the TPs, just waiting for the card to arrive so you can place them. But with that shipment, or with that Buren's treasure, that shipment will be coming in quite a bit more quickly if he chooses to go for that. So that would be nice for him as well. And this is, of course, a map that would be very good for an advanced trading post strategy.
Yeah, because of the 4 trading posts in the middle of the map. So ATP, Advanced Trading Post, it makes them cheaper and gives them a ranged attack. So we'll see if Spain wants to send that, if Hazza wants to send it. He hasn't done it yet, so I imagine this will be a good time to switch up a strategy and go with the Advanced Trading Post. Spain can do that because they have more shipments and sneak it in. But looks like we have a 90 coin treasure contention here. Oh no, I think actually Hazza didn't realize that was there, but is not going to be able to pick it up. But has his War Dog nearby, so actually instead of going for that treasure nearby, he's actually just going to use his War Dog and Explorer to go into hand combat with his opponent. And once I don't know if he got the snare. No, he's not managed to. Normally, if you go into hand combat, you get the snare, and then your opponent slows down. They can't escape as easily. But didn't manage to do that. The War Dog and the Explorer sort of bumbling around into each other. Perhaps he'll go for this 2 stray dogs next, but maybe not right now since he knows his opponent's in the area. Yes, he's circling back round, as you can see. Kaiser knows his opponent might go for this treasure, so he's going to stay in the area so that he might be able to steal it if possible. But yes, I never actually introduced Kaiserklein. Here he is in the north of the map. His civilization choice was Germany and has gone with an early market in this Age 1.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, look at where Hazza's positioned his scouts right now. His Explorer is going to be stealing the TP on the left side. War Dog going to be watching over the other trading post near Kaiser's base. So he's going to be forcing Kaiserklein to build a trading post on his side of the map while he's going for ATP. So that's going to mean that picking up the TP will be... killing off Kaiser's TP will be very easy for him later in the game. Kaiser might have spotted the villager sitting next to that TP as well, so you might know that something is up.
Yeah, it looks like I imagine, he's going to place this one first. He saw the opponent's Explorer there and places it before he can. And the next one will be over here, Mitoe.
Yeah, I don't know if Kaiser actually wanted to place that TP, though. I think maybe he wanted to bait him into placing that TP so he could walk over here and then place this TP safely before Hazza can place it. And it looks like it's going to be really close.
It's a race to 2-1. Oh, yeah, it looks like Kaiser got it, but it was very, very close there. And now this villager going to give up. Kaiser is going to get 1 position on the route, but Spain, he's invested in a card that makes trading posts cheaper, and likewise, as you can expect, is going for all of the trading posts, or as many as he can get.
Mm-hmm. So these trading posts are going to be really difficult for... Oh, these dogs are going to do a lot of damage with this Explorer, but I think that TP will go up in the end. But yeah, these trading posts are going to be really hard for him to kill. And they're going to give a lot of vision of potential Ulan raids and stuff coming down the left side of the map and through the middle portions of the map. So that will be a really nice pickup for him. And he'll be able to clean up Kaiser's trading post pretty easily as well and transition to Fortress or something like that when he has a couple of Musketeers or something like that out. And then he'll be able to pick up the trading post for himself and get some Stagecoach, and he'll be in a really good situation. Aging up with the 500 food as well. Does he have wood for a military building? I'm not quite sure, but that 500 food will make it a little bit easier to I guess just make stuff in general, or age up, because you're investing a lot more resources into trading posts than you normally would. So your build might be a little bit slower if you go with the outpost wagon.
Looks like we're going to have a forward barracks from Hazza here, placing it sort of near his trading post and sort of near the one Kaiserklein built as well. So sort of in base, but going to give him a little bit of forward position to send units from, so they're not as delayed getting to where they need to be. And this is reasonably near this trading post, which he can then perhaps train 5 pikemen or 5 musketeers or something like that, and use them to clean up the trading post that Kaiser has built. So Hazza, this game is going to be really invested on staying on this map. Look, he's gotten the on this trading post line. He's gotten the upgrade, but interestingly, this does affect both. Yes, it does. Okay, so they're separate routes. Let's not talk about that. Basically, he's gotten the upgrade, and because he has 3, he's now going to benefit from that. His opponent will also benefit from the route being upgraded, but he only has 1, and I think Hazza anticipates destroying this pretty soon.
Yeah, likely is not long for this world. Kaiser might be able to buy some time for that TP with some raids or something like that. But looks like he's actually going to be training Doppelsoldners to deal with these TPs. So he is actually going to be trying to deal with them. Looks like he'd throw that one Dopp that was being attacked by the TP into cover modes that will increase its longevity by quite a bit if Hazza doesn't switch targets. And that will actually make dealing with these TPs quite a bit easier if Hazza's not paying attention.
Yeah, I like how they're on both sides of the map sieging here. The Doppelsoddens definitely have more siege, but that's because they're a much more expensive unit. The pikemen also have very high siege, especially for their cost. So players going to be trying to just contest the trading posts on either side. Kaiser really doesn't want Hazza to be on the map the entire to be on the whole one, especially since the route's upgraded. It's really important that he does damage to it here. But Hazza has 5 cavalry coming out of his stable. Looks like these are going to make their way into his opponent's base and see if he can force some idle time here. Remember, there's Doppelsoddners that have been in queue. I don't think there's any at home, but Dops are really, really scary for cavalry, and they definitely do not want to get caught. But here, just going to try his best to force villagers into the town center. Kaiser, quite an experienced player, so unlikely to see any deaths. And yeah, the Ulans here returning from home or returning from wherever to scare away these hussars.
And so one thing about this these trading posts as well is they only cost 120 wood with ATP. And since they deal damage after getting the ATP card, killing them off means that, you know, you're killing them for almost the same value that they cost. So even if he loses these TPs, he shouldn't be too upset about it. He can even replace it and afford to lose it again. And it shouldn't be too bad. Of course, it's not quite as efficient against this many dops, but it's still quite a decent trade for him either way.
Yeah, they're very, very cheap after the card he sent. Looks like 600 wood is coming down then. So Hazza intending to stay in the colonial age a bit longer, and I think with that wood, going to get his other market upgrades, so steel traps for the increased hunting and placer mines as well, and also with that wood can replace the trading post that he's losing here. And but, you know, Kaiser doing a pretty good job. But Doppelsodden is a really nice choice. Often Dops are sort of a risky unit to go with, but because of the really high siege they have, allowing him to take those, to contest the route really nicely. Doppelsoddners and cavalry.
Yeah, and it's a really scary composition too in the colonial age, especially for the number of units that Hazza has. That's a really small army, and that's a lot of Doppelsoddners.
Yeah, do not get the snare. Oh, cavalry have managed to find the snare. Their Doppelsoddners have really high damage and area damage, so yeah, trying to spread out as much as possible, keep as much snare as possible. Hazza resigns just off the back of that. Lost the trading post. Really nice early dops from Kaiserklein. Taking down the route. Hazza didn't have a secure route and then got snared out in the middle of the map. Perhaps he shouldn't have been there. He knows his opponent had all these dops, was training Doppelsoddners, and he didn't really have anything that was super effective against Doppelsoddners. He'd need things like skirmishers, but obviously not in the Fortress Age, can't be training skirmishers. And crossbowmen, the other unit that are quite strong. I suppose musks are quite good against Doppelsoddners as well. Either way, just doesn't have enough army here. And by the looks of it, Kaiserklein going to pick up a quick game number 3, 4, pulling himself up to 3 points to 1. Has a bit of catching up to do here. Kaiser could win if he wins the next game of the entire series.
Yeah, and I think Hazza was maybe just like banking on the fact that Hazza could have been aging, or sorry, that Kaiser could have been aging after killing that TP. He didn't really confirm it, but it seems like a reasonable assumption, right? Normally, Germany only makes 10 to 15 units before they choose to age up, and Doppelsoldners, of course, are very costly, so with the number of Dops he had, it was a reasonable assumption that he could have been aging, but unfortunately, no, for him, Kaiserklein did decide to just continue training units in the colonial age, did manage to catch him out there, and got a really nice pick, and that sort of, just kind of result in the GG.
That is the trouble, right? Doppelsoddners, Doppelsoddners are good because of this. If they can get that surround, then it's just so bad for you. But the thing is, because they're these these melee units, they're actually often really bad. Doppelsoddners can be shot at from range. They find it really tough to get up close and personal. And Doppelsoddners, when there's not very many of them, are quite weak. They perform much better in a larger group. But Hazza does get caught by this, and it's just over.
Yep, and he had just enough Ulans to snare the enemy army, and yeah, just the pikemen weren't super valuable in this game. He would have much preferred to just have additional musketeers or something like that. I mean, they helped him siege down the trading post a little bit faster, but aside from that, they weren't super useful against Dop Ulan.
That is game number 4, a fairly short 8-minute 30 game. Let's see if Hazza has much more in store. I'm hoping he can drag this series out a bit longer. Everyone likes a close series, but let's see. Game number 5 coming up next is match point for Kaiserklein. Let's see if he can take this and therefore the series. I wonder what civilizations they'll play next, Mitoe. Do you think it'll be Spain and Germany?
I'm not sure. I think it might be Spanish in Germany as well.
Yeah, well, that was a pretty good pick. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to indeed the Mono Civ Cup. This tournament is brought to you by ESO-community.net. ESO is down. Oh, dear.
I have to wait a moment for that to recover.
Okay.
Cascade Range, though, it's an interesting map for this matchup. It is a non-trading post map again, just like the first game, which I feel like, especially for Germany, though, Cascade Range in particular is really not a good map for them. It's quite a bit harder to go for the type of build that Kaiserklein went for, just because there's not a lot of resources in your base. The build he went for in the first game, I mean to say. And also, there's not a lot of treasure guardians on this map. It's, only level 1 treasures on this map, most of them without treasure guardians. And when you consider, like, how much XP you get from killing guardians in a normal game, that could potentially slow down your shipment by, 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds or whatever, as each, well, when you think about it, you get XP at 2 per second, right? And so killing a wolf, it gives you 10 XP, which saves you 5 seconds off of your first shipment. So not being able to kill lots of treasure guardians and on top of not having trading posts will really be slowing Germany down by quite a bit.
Okay, so you're saying this favors Spain because Germany
I believe
particularly
so.
slow shipments. Spain a bit quicker. I see what you're saying, but equally, Spain have that extra war dog, and they're also going to benefit from sort of bigger treasures. They have a better time collecting treasures in general because of the war dog, and that means just treasures, early game treasures. Collecting treasures is part of Spain's bonus, just because they have access to that war dog at the start of the game. And Cascade Range, with all the level 1 treasures that don't have any guardians, you just sort of walk around the map picking up things for free. Really small treasures, mind you, that because of that, it's going to be harder. Sorry, I just got an invite to a game. No, I don't want to play your free-for-all right now. Tempting offer, but I think I'll stay here with Mitoe and cast this match. Okay, looks like we might be able to start now. ESO should be back up again. But we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. Remember, there are treasure guardians on the map, but they're very sort of, there's only one of them, and they're quite easy to crack shot or kill.
Mm-hmm.
But yes,
we'll see how it turns out.
What do you think is the potential for some sort of native rush then? I mean, this map, no trading posts, very little XP because of the treasure guardians, and both civilizations, they don't like that. So normally you wouldn't be very pleased at all to be playing Spain or Germany on Cascade Range in a tournament. You'd almost never pick, well, you wouldn't pick Germany or Spain on Cascade Range. But because it's the Mono Civ Cup, they both equally have civs that hate Cascade Range. So it's actually sort of balanced because of that. And I've forgotten my train of thought, but that's it looks like we're going to start, so never mind. Oh, yes, natives. So is there much room for a native rush here? We often don't see natives, but...
I mean... Yeah, there probably is. We've seen both players go for natives in this tournament before. Hazza, even in the semifinals, went for natives on this exact same map. So it's definitely an option that's available. They're not the greatest natives in the world, but they're still very fast, and they're positioned very close to the enemy base as well, which makes them a lot more valuable than natives sometimes are on other maps when you have to build, a native post on the other side of the map from where your opponent is.
Yeah, they're actually really close. So you could build this spot here, and then you can just rush units out. I think the Nuka is the more likely one to be built, just because of the units available in there. But yeah, also close to your opponent if you want to be doing something aggressive with them. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mono Civ Cup. This tournament is brought to you by ESO-community.net. Can we get some links in the chat, please? Robo/ham. Over to ESOC, since, of course, we're now streaming their event and they're not streaming it. I do feel really bad about that. But here is Hazza in the north of the map, in the color red, playing as the Spain. It appears to be a 200 wood start. Is going to elect to get that wood there, and I imagine that's because he's probably, what's he come across? 40 wood. Okay, so Hazza's found a 40 wood treasure. He's found another 40 wood treasure. Okay, so out of level 1 treasures, these ones are guarded by grizzly bears. This is quite good for Spain because, okay, missed the creep there, but we'll get back to it. These ones are really valuable because of the war dog, even more so. You can kill these grizzly bears. Most of these treasures as... Oh, there's another 40 wood! And another 40 wood! Oh my goodness, there's so many 40 woods here. Here's 20 coin as well, but most of the time it's these unguarded treasures. But because he found 40 wood, looks like Hazza will now have the resources to lay down a market and get himself the hunting dogs upgrade. Looks like he's gathered the wood, but I think he's, look, in his base there's 10 coin in the back, and I think he'll be looking for a little bit more coin, since, of course, hunting dogs cost 50 wooden coin. He's not going to build that market until he's gotten the resources for hunting dogs from the treasures.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so just going to be hanging on to those resources for the moment. He might actually just forego the market altogether if he does plan to do a native rush or something like that, as that wood will really help him get that trading post down and get units out early on, as natives are quite wood-heavy units. Do you want to check his deck and see if he's got native treaties in his deck or anything like that?
Let's take a look at Hazza's deck. There it is, native treaties. So this gives you a shipment of warriors from each different allied tribe. There's only 2 different tribes, but still 2 sort of shipments or batches of units from those villages is going to be quite good. And it's in his deck, so certainly something that Kaiser will have to consider. It doesn't mean that Hazza will go for it, but it is certainly available and something that Kaiserklein will have to watch out for.
Yeah, it's definitely an option to him. Could also be a little bit of a mind game just having that in the deck there. Could consider maybe building the TP and have with that combined with the native trading or native treaties card in his deck, could maybe bait Kaiser into doing something like early dops or crossbows or something like that. And behind it, Hazza could go for like a fast fortress or something. All speculation, obviously, at the moment. There's nothing to indicate that that's really the plan. Yeah, but it's definitely an option available to him as well.
But that's what it is. Age 1 is always speculation time. We watch players march around the map collecting treasures, and we comment on what the crate starts were and where they are and any treasure contentions and this sort of thing, and we look at their decks, and it's all a lot of fun. But it looks like now players will be going up to the colonial age, and we'll really have a good idea of what they actually intend to do once they hit up to the next age and send that first shipment. That's usually the biggest tell. But a bit of a skirmish in the middle of the net. The players going to take pot shots at each other, but most of these treasures have been hoovered up now. I think Spain heading over to this side is going to gather the 20 coin. Oh, another 40 wood. Lots of 40 woods on this particular map. But
it looks
yes.
Like, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, if we see a native rush or a native agenda, we'd expect the Spanish explorer to be in position to build one of these trading posts at the forward mark. But it looks like he's come back and will not be doing a native agenda at the moment. But fairly normal things, right, Mitoe? Both players have sent their villager shipments. And that's it so far.
Well, you don't really want to build a native TP right away if you're going for it. You want to sort of wait a little bit until it's a little bit closer to the colonial age, so you don't build it a little bit too early and give away what your strategy is. He is quite far away from any TP that he might want to use to be aggressive, though, so it might not be the case at the moment, and it looks like he has shifted all of his villagers off of wood, so he is actually just going to be going for some other kind of plan, it looks like, although he is building a second house in his base, which is a little bit strange. If you're going for a normal fast fortress and switching vills back to wood. I'm actually really not sure what he's planning to do at the moment. He is aging with the governor, so he could place an outpost somewhere.
Yeah, we'll have to see where the outpost goes before we get a good indication. But Hazza, maybe he doesn't know what he's going to do. We'll see
the
what...
explorer's position next to that native TP, but I don't know. No wood for that TP at the moment. We'll have to wait for like 700 wood or anything like that.
We'll check in with him in a moment, but Kaiserklein now up to the next stage as well, and he's elected to go up with the Quartermaster Politician, which grants 400 wood on the floor. That's going to be everything he needs for a bit of infrastructure. I expect to see a stable, possibly a barracks, and a couple of houses there to support.
Well, if what Kaiser did in the first game on a non-TP map is any indication, seems like he could just be going for a naked FF, just like he did last time.
What's this forward outpost?
Actually,
that's interesting.
Tower.
Yeah, I guess that's why he's now gone for a defensive trading post, defensive outpost here.
But there's no. Well, okay, This is a little bit of a mind game. I'm pretty sure, just because look at how many resources Kaiser has in base. He's gathering a lot of gold right now. He doesn't have a military building up or anything like that. And 3 settler wagons coming as his first shipment.
This is not aggressive at all. This outpost is purely mind games. It looks like it's a forward tower rush, and I think Hazza is going to be expecting something like 8 crossbows coming out of this tower, or certainly some sort of military shipment. But there's nothing. He's not even built a barracks next to it. This is purely for show. And back home, he's just going ham. He sent 3. Can we get some AoE hams in the chat? Sending 3 settler wagons. Instead, this is, or do you think it's a forward spawn point or slash sort of to dupe his opponent?
Yeah, I think it definitely is. And we saw Hazza was positioned to the next that native post earlier, and he just had a native post down on the minimap a second ago, but he was forced to delete it because Explorer actually got caught by the Ulans.
This is what Hazza's
he actually has a dock as
yeah,
well.
this makes a lot more sense now.
That's what happened with all of his wood.
Yeah, we were wondering what he was doing.
That house.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I think he did want to go for natives of some sort, and that outpost sort of forced him to build defensive military buildings instead, just because he was afraid of the potential of a rush. But behind this, Kaiserklein is just going to be aging up. He's nearly got the resources available to him, and if he loses the tower at this point, he's not even going to be super concerned because he's going to be in the Fortress Age, and Spain's going to be stuck in Age 2. And they're going to be a long way off of aging as they don't have access to the exiled prince politician, that politician that lets them age quite a bit faster.
Yeah,
or
there it is.
That would let them age quite a bit faster. So
exiled prince now in queue for Kaiserklein, going up to the next age. This is a fast aging politician. It doesn't give you any bonus, but gets you up in 40 seconds, which is really quite quick. Spain.
And he has a shipment available too once he hits up. So
yeah, Spain. He's got another villager in position for a second dock. He's got the dock over here. But this is Cascade range, Mitoe. There's no whales, so there's no late game fishing opportunities, and there's very limited fish. Cascade range doesn't have much fish. You can't really do much water here, but I guess it makes sense, right? Like he wasn't really sure what he was doing early on. He saw this forward outpost. He thought it was going to be some sort of colonial aggression, perhaps, and wanted to set up, for the long game and deflect it off and have a nice eco from the fishing ships. But actually, looks like Kaiser snuck up to the Fortress Age.
Yeah, and you've got to consider, too, look at Hazza's build. He hasn't actually sent 5 villagers or anything like that. He's just sending wood shipments instead. So he's actually going to be, he's actually basically just going to be replacing that villager shipment with fishing ships, which will sort of increase the longevity of the hunts in his base, as well as give him a place to gather resources that's a little bit unraidable by those Ulans and stuff like that. Something that Germany is really known for doing is raiding with those free Ulans a lot of the time, and those fishing ships are going to be pretty safe from that type of play. That being said, though, he is now, behind in tech. He's a long way off of aging. Kaiserklein has been in the fortress for a little while now. He's going to start having those shipments rolling, and still has that forward shipment point as well. So Hazza has to be really careful with how he progresses in the rest of this game. And here comes the war wagon. It's going to be catching the Ulans. They might get one.
Yes,
settler
he gets
wagon.
the settler wagon, and I think Hazza will be pleased with that. Traded off his cavalry for another settler wagon kill. I think he got 3 villages up here, which is really, really nice. So because the Kaiserklein was aging, wasn't able to have any military units out, and was just really having a hard time with those cavalry that Hazza had in his base. But I think Hazza will be pleased with that trade there, and looks like Hazza got a colonial age army out, but yeah, as you mentioned, could be difficult, under-teched, but it will be a while before Germany has those sort of techie skirmishers outright, and there are no falconets for Germany. That's just not a shipment that they have available, so it's not like he's going to have to deal with cannons, so maybe actually Spain, this isn't so bad.
Yeah, and if you look at where Hazza's army is, he's sort of kept his units hidden for the moment. He now knows that the units are in his base. It looks like he's sort of a little bit indecisive about what he wants to do with his army. But he's keeping it mostly out of vision for the time being. And, as a result of that, Kaiser might think that Hazza's doing something like aging or something like that. He hasn't seen any units aside from those 3 Hussars. So if he's aging, then Kaiser's going to be playing a little bit more aggressively than he otherwise would be, and Hazza could potentially get maybe a good trade or something like that off the back of an overcommitment under the town center or something. Yeah. The 8 skirmisher shipment has arrived, so if Kaiser is going to try and apply some pressure, it will be with this shipment.
Yep, this is where he wants to be pushing in. So skirmishes, this complements the composition perfectly. He's got the ranged infantry, cavalry, and anti-cavalry available here. And now with that power spike of 8 skirmishes, is going to push in. He's going to pot shot at these villages. Meanwhile, though, has war wagons. They did see. They're going to come. Oh, this isn't good. You want to go for a secret raid, but I suppose he's actually distracting a bunch of war wagons with 3 hussars. Yeah, and the war wagons don't care. They're going to go back. But lots of exposed villages here. Looks like that we have a fight. Oh, I missed it. I'm apologizing, but Rod Elero shipment that he sent earlier, plus the cavalry coming forward. The Uhlans now in position to deal with the hussars there. Rod's really, really good against the Uhlans. They just need to be focusing, but the skirmishers and the war wagons in the back, they're going to dispatch them pretty good. No more. This is actually really good for Spain. War wagons have Rod Eleros up in their grill. This is quite good for Spain.
Yeah, he took the one moment that the war wagons were distracted by those hussars and used it to attack the army in the front. And behind this, too, is those 3 hussars that the war wagons chose to ignore have killed a lot of villagers on the back of the base here on that gold mine and forced Kaiser completely off of gold.
Yeah,
So this is looking like a really good position for Spain, despite how far behind he is in tech.
Yeah, I think, God, look at his economy. 42 villages, or 42 economic unit population to 23. Let's check his upgrades as well. Hasn't got hunting dogs or placer mines or anything like that. Now getting great coats in, which is going to give him a bit more HP, but does have fishing ships with gill nets. Kaiserklein, on the other hand, is fully upgraded here. Steel traps, placer mines. So it might look like Spain is quite far ahead, but he hasn't got any market techs. That's something he needs to figure out and do pretty soon. But either way, you can't argue with numbers. 44 to 24 is really, really good. Spain's in a really good position here, but as Mitoe, as you say, getting up to the next stage is the only issue that he has facing him, but I think he's in an excellent position to go ahead and do that, having forced away that early pressure from Kaiserklein and having such an economic lead.
Yeah, at the same time, though, this war wagon mass is growing, and it's a little bit difficult to deal with these war wagons in the colonial age, as those war wagons have 16 range, which is equivalent to your highest range unit in the colonial age, the crossbowmen. So it's going to be a little bit tricky to deal with those war wagons. They could potentially just run circles around this army if he's not careful. He does have some more skirmishers out now off the back of that 7 skirmish shipment, but they could get caught by the hussars. I think the war wagons are close enough, but you might get bit of extra damage onto these skirmishers. You might just sacrifice all of the hussars to try and get a good trade here, try and force these skirmishers into a position where they can't really kite away from the rest of this army, and the rods are going to be zoning out the war wagons.
That is beautiful.
Yeah,
well done, Hazza. Yeah, and the Rodelleros getting nice up and close against the war wagons. Rod's obviously very, very strong against the war wagons there. They've got lots of extra damage because they counter cavalry. Thankfully, the war wagons do have a resist, but yeah, cleans up all those skirmishers and is now going to head on out of here. War Wagon's a very powerful unit still, though, so needs to be wary of that.
Yeah, they're still a tricky unit for Hazza to deal with here at the moment. If he doesn't turn and fight here, though, he could lose some villagers on this gold mine.
Yeah, are they going to garrison in a fishing ship?
That's what it looks like. They're not moving right now, but I imagine he'll move them shortly. Does have to be careful, though, because fishing ships are relatively low HP. Could potentially just get sniped off. Those Uhlans are going to go for a swing, but the war wagons aren't in range to apply some extra damage, so that fishing ship will not go down. But Kaiserklein is actually moving to the other side of the coastline, it looks like, and he will be trying to maybe cut off that ship. No, okay, just going to be responding to that raid on the gold mine.
Yeah, losing some of that economic population, but still 50 villages now to 26. The only issue Hazza has now is these really techie war wagons that his units are just... Okay, got lots of good rod mass in the back there. Let's take a look at Hazza's upgrades in deck. He's got team hand infantry attack, so that's going to improve the Rodelleros if he wants to do that. And crossbowmen and musks are okay against war wagons. It's just the extra range on these things. It's just hard to deal with.
Yeah, the range and the speed makes them... definitely very challenging to deal with here.
Economic theory coming in. So just continuing the trend of upgrades. He's gotten... Eco theory just gives 10% to all gather rates. So just a generally sort of good shipment for economy. GG.
What? No, that's a...
Wow.
He was actually not in a bad situation. He just...
I don't think it's over either. That's really surprising. Kaiserklein does pick up the win, though, and wins How Do I Kill Jaegers? Okay, that's a good
Oh, are there
point.
Jaegers out? There are Jaegers out.
What are your thoughts on Jaegers?
That does seem like an unkillable unit in the colonial age, to be fair.
Yeah, okay. That is... Yeah, you need hussars.
He spotted them. Looks like he spotted them with that dead hussar in the main base there, underneath the market, so... He saw they were coming and knew that he was going to be a long way off from aging, and there wasn't going to be any way for him to really kill those. So
yeah, okay.
I suppose fair enough. The Jaegers are a kind of an unkillable unit in this situation. So
I wish he'd played it out, though. I know it might have been difficult, but it would have been really nice to see how far he could have gotten. But yeah,
it was definitely an interesting situation for sure. Probably needed to try and age up somehow, but regardless, it was a good game up until that point.
Yeah, I'm really sad. Spain just needed the opportunity to age, and maybe he would have been okay. But yeah, when you're dealing with Fortress Age units in the Colonial Age, it's really tough. Rodelleros would get absolutely shat on, for lack of a better word, by Jaegers. They're basically 30 damage times 2 versus infantry. They're going to clean up Rodelleros really, really quickly, and war wagons are really good against hussars, which are needed to deal with the Jaegers. It's just so difficult to handle that sort of really that composition. But yeah, I don't know. Spain had a very, very strong economy, and it seems that he could have pulled the game out a bit longer. I don't really think Spain would have ever found an opportunity to age, and let's be real here, he's probably running out of colonial age shipments as well, right? And if he's not aging, he's just going to not be able to send anything. Already sort of lacking 4 villages, and eco theory just don't seem like shipments you'd, if you want to be aging up. Well, what did he have in his deck? Let's take a look. But certainly running out. Yeah, upgrades to Rodelleros, that wouldn't have been worth. Advanced Arsenal and the native treaties also wouldn't have been very helpful at that point in the game. I think just running out of shipments, has no way to get up to the Fortress Age, because if he does, he'll slow down in terms of military production, and has these Jaegers on the way to come and deal with him. But that is going to finish the Mono Civ Cup, and Kaiserklein picks up the victory. This tournament is brought to you by ESO-community.net. Do check us out, or them out, for more Age of Empires 3 action. But next up on the Escape stream, I'm going to be teaching Robo how to play Age of Empires 3. So if you were here from the start of the stream, you would have seen Robo teaching me how to play Age of Empires 2, which was interesting. Getting there, and I'm looking forward to doing more. We were working on build orders, but now we're going to reverse it. So now that we've got an Age 3 audience, maybe you'll stick around and help me teach Robo how to play, and he should be joining me soon. But yeah, really pleased to cast this with you again, Mitoe. If you want to see more Age of Empires 3 action, there is the, of course, ESOC YouTube channel. But later tonight, actually, I'm hosting an event called Sunday Smackdown, which will be live at 11 GMT, 23 GMT, so 11 p.m. this evening. And hello, wow, this microphone. I'm going to unplug this now. Mitoe might need it for me to hear him. Yeah, so I'll leave it plugged in. But yeah, Robo, what do you think of the series?
Very interesting. The big thing that I noticed is you can garrison villages and fishing ships.
Yeah,
that's just like what?
Yeah, I don't think they're not very. It's very risky. They've got very low HP, and you could just kill the fishing ship.
But you can use the fishing boat as like a transport ship.
Yeah, they're also really slow, Mitoe says. So it's
okay.
It's not ideal. But
okay. That was just like a what?
Yeah. I think Spain just didn't really know what he was doing this game, but I wish he'd played it out. But yes, thank you very much for watching, everybody. And now we're going to get stuck in with the teaching Robo. So we'll see you. Yep. All right. See you in a bit. Ham, will you switch the camera over to just me and Robo chatting?
Well, he's going to restart the stream to get rid of the 2-minute.
Okay, shall I explain that then? Has he already done it? Or?
No, he's going to wait for us to learn.
I see. Okay, so for everybody watching on the stream now, we're going to turn the stream offline, and then it'll be back in, it should be back in, it should be back. As soon as it ends, it'll be back. That's what will happen. But we have to restart the stream because there was a 2-minute delay on the stream because of this tournament. But now we'll get back to normal games. So we'll see you in a moment. Bye-bye.
Yep. See ya.